That's what I love about a lot of Paul McCartney's work, I feel like, is that his voice throughout all of his music is always changing. You're kind of always getting something different. He sings to sort of the character of the song. I feel like Bowie does this as well. And I just really love that. I think it's really interesting and makes it for an interesting listen of an entire record.
This episode is being supported by Tape It, the iPhone recording app made for musicians by musicians. And you mentioned about trying to create a kind of sonic palette for an album, and we had a question from Oitu via Patreon, which kind of touches on that. How do you achieve that sonic cohesion? So, the album's really varied, your work is really varied. Sometimes it leans in more electronic, sometimes it's more, rock and roll, more guitar-y, but it is very cohesive. And how do you make that happen?
Well, I think it's really like having sort of thematic instruments that pop out throughout the whole thing, I think is really important. Mm-hmm. There was, like, on Decide, there's this patch on Arturia called the East Piano, which, does it make an appearance on this track?
It does. Yeah, it's this sound here.
This thing was all over the last one. So,
yeah,
the reuse of that. But then I also think the process is the thing that maybe, like, the way that we recorded all these songs ended up being the thing that kind of glued them all together, because they do all sound a lot different, but the way that we went about making them generally was, I think, the same, in this live kind of studio environment,
Yeah.
Pseudo live, because we're not necessarily like playing it live all as a band, but we are building this thing together.
Yeah.
Live.
I think it was when we were making Decide, we kind of had the unlock of across an album where sort of late stage in the album process, we were swapping, taking a step back and going, oh, we have two, synth pad sounds that are very similar, but they're different. Why don't we use the same?
Yeah.
Let's go back and swap that in, get a new performance. Let's use the Prophet on both those songs,
So
yeah.
That sort of helps, I feel like, tie things together. Or, finding some, like, reverb characters, like...
Yeah.
I feel like reverb especially is such a, part of the costume, to use your expression, of how the vibe of something, in, using similar reverbs across different songs.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Also, I feel like on Decide, our good friend Ted Matthews, who also plays in the band, did the drums. And I feel like the drums in any mix is a huge part of, like, the performance and the character. It informs so much of it. And so also, so he did Decide, and our good friend Wes Toledo did the drums on this record. So, and they're roommates, which is great, by the way. And so that also, I feel like, kind of adds to the, I don't know.
Yeah. It's a pretty tight camp.
Yeah.
And you play a majority of the sounds on everything on this album, which helps with the cohesion. It's
like Ebo, the Nashville strung guitar, I feel like, is a theme.
12-string.
12-string.
Precision bass on everything,
Precision bass on everything, except maybe Fly, the one that you played.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, I guess, like, just trying to, like, draw from the same sort of universe, but not limit yourself, though. Also, you want to have those days where you're like, you know what, let's break out the oboe, but there's no oboe on the record. Oh, honestly, another thing on this record is the Mellotron. That thing is everywhere.
Oh, yeah, a lot of Mellotron.
That played a huge part. It's just so good.
Yeah. This episode is being supported by our good friends at Tape It, the iPhone app made specifically for musicians. If you, like many of our guests, use voice memos, then as far as we're concerned, switching to Tape It is an obvious choice. It's free, and there are a load of features you won't find on Apple's Voice Memos app, including the ability to record straight from your lock screen, set markers, add notes, include photos of settings, and you can easily import your old voice notes, sync to the cloud, and create shared playlists with co-writers and bandmates. So head to the link below to install the app now. And if you want even more, check out Tape It Pro and use the promo code TAPENOTES to receive a whopping 20% off. And now, back to the episode. It seems to me that you're trying stuff all the time, both both musically, but also the way you deliver the words, how you
Sure.
deliver them. You're going to sing them, you're going to speak them, a combination of the two.
Sure.
And it evolves, across the record and your records. You evolve that all the time.
Sure.
You're kind of constantly playing. How do you decide a song is going to be a certain?
I feel like it's almost out of the inverse of what you're saying. Like it's from a place of just maybe not wanting to do the same thing twice, and trying to think of what is the kind of character of the song, or that's what I love about a lot of Paul McCartney's work. I feel like is that his voice throughout all of his music is always changing. You're kind of always getting something different. He sings to sort of the character of the song. I feel like Bowie does this as well. And I just really love that. I think it's really interesting and makes it for an interesting listen of an entire record, because you're not getting kind of I think there's also something to be said about a record that has a very distinct vibe in the whole thing, and you can get really lost in something like that. But for this record, I thought, it's a part of maybe my ADD brain too, is like not wanting to do the same thing twice, trying to always do something a little bit different. But yeah, you can definitely tell, like especially for the vocals, this started like a rock and roll nightclub Bruce Springsteen wannabe thing, and ended up somewhere else, really.
Mm-hmm.